Hello again, friends. Welcome back to the Daniel-Mabry Project. This episode is with my friend Deon Fowler. I've known Deon since high school at least. We may have gone to school together before then. We didn't really talk about that. But yeah, we went to high school together and played football together. And Deon and I had similar numbers, and so we had close lockers. And you know, he was a year older than me, and I just remember him being a positive guy in the locker room, and always trying to lift people up and bring people up, and you know, get the energy going. And you know, it seems that he's still that way today. You know, he seems to be a very motivated person as well, and just really was really excited to sit down and talk to him, and the conversation did not disappoint by any means. So. We talk a lot about football and his journey through football. He had a lot of struggles in college and trying to be a Division I athlete, or compete, I guess, at the Division I level. We then get into his businesses and why he got into his businesses and what drove his businesses, and a little bit of how he runs his business. And you know, we talk about a lot of this stuff, and the more that we got into it, the more I just continue to smile, because Deon seems to be doing all the right things and making the right moves and putting in the work as well. And it's just exciting to see, you know, somebody that you know succeeding and making something out of themselves and continuing to grow. And couldn't be more proud to know him. Couldn't be more proud to call him my friend. And yeah, like I said, I was really excited with this podcast before, during, after, and yeah, just very thankful of Deon's time and that he would come on and be willing to share his message. So if you want to support me, support this podcast, the easiest way to do so is to subscribe to this YouTube channel, subscribe to whatever subscription service that you're listening to on Spotify or Apple or whatever. If you find monetary value in this podcast, I have quit my job and sold my house, and I'm pursuing this podcast and videography and photography full time. And the easiest way to do that is, you know, I have a Venmo account, PayPal, and Patreon. Patreon is really the way that I've been pushing. It's basically a subscription service where you subscribe to give me X amount of dollars. Right now I only have 2 tiers set up, a $1 account and a $5 account. Again, I'll leave that in the description. And if you so want to help me financially, I would be forever grateful and hook you up with something. So I have stickers for sale and looking to get some merch going soon. So I'm going to shut up, let the podcast go. And I really hope you guys enjoy this one. There's a lot of wisdom in it, I believe. So, thank you. And I was just steady, just
sliding on down, yeah.
Yeah. All right, Deon Fowler, welcome to the program, my friend.
Thank you for having me, man.
I'm excited to have you on here. I know you've been trying to make some moves here in the Dallas area in the past couple of years, and
certainly
are making moves. So I see you working, and I wanted to have you on here because of that. So,
thank you.
You also have a pretty cool story, you know, how you got here.
Oh yeah.
So let's kind of get into there. I know we went to high school together in West Monroe, and
I think we should have both wore our state championship rings.
Yeah. I think mine's at home.
Yeah, I still have mine in a good place.
Yeah. That's basically where I just stuck it where I knew I'd come across it one day. Like, oh yeah, there's that box, all that stuff that
Exactly.
I still cherish in life.
Definitely. It seems like the older we get, the more we appreciate it.
Well, and I've talked to a couple other West Monroe football players, and it means more now, I think, because of the drought that they've had.
Oh yeah.
You went 3 years in a row.
Yeah, I went 3 years. So
to the state championship.
So 2 years.
2 years
and senior year.
Yeah. So I ended up 3, and the guys behind me went 4, I guess.
Wow.
So yeah, that was wild. That was always, everybody every once in a while high school sports comes up, and it's like, oh yeah, I was all district, blah blah. And I was like, well, I went to the state championship 3 times.
Exactly.
Only won it once.
Right.
But
my high school football record was 48-3, I believe.
That's awesome.
All 3 losses coming in playoffs.
Yeah.
One state championship game, 2 playoffs games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do remember that. I guess you won your senior year.
One senior year, man.
Yeah.
Best year of my life up until that point.
Really?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can remember your junior year when we lost. Yeah. And I was there on the sidelines, and I was a sophomore.
Yeah.
I had not played a single down the whole game or the whole season. I played 1 down the whole season, I think, against Grambling or somebody, Richwood.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember after the game was over, there was I'll call them out, I don't care, Tanner Noel and Connor Osborne and a couple of those younger guys that, were freshmen or whatever that had made the roster just to get the experience or whatever. Yeah. And they were just bawling their eyes out. And I was like, come on, guys. Man, you didn't even contribute to it. I mean, I get the emotion of it, but it was like, y'all weren't even in this thing. And y'all that was so emotional.
That was a hard one, man.
Yeah.
That was a hard one to get to the 3-yard line and to have it end like that ultimately.
Yep.
That was hard. But, Descram was a great team, man. I believe they had at least 9 D1 prospects that year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I did not know that. That whole run was a lot of fun, and definitely grateful that Coach Barron came out and said, hey, who wants to be a kicker?
Yeah.
That's me, Coach.
Yeah. Changed your whole trajectory, huh?
Yeah, for sure. Well, and, I played soccer and baseball, and, we didn't win like we did in football. So it was I don't think that was something that I consciously chose, but, like, in the middle of it, it's like, all right, this is really fun,
right?
Because we are winning,
exactly,
and that kind of deal. So
winning in sports or life makes everything that much better, man.
Yeah. Well, it's like doing this and other things in life. I think if you can find joy in life, you can find joy in those little victories and stuff. So I have this thing about podcasting where I'm nervous before, I'm calm and during, and I'm super excited afterwards.
Yeah.
And it's because it's like every time it's worked out,
Right.
And it's always been a positive thing. So I know it's going to blow up in my face one day. Somebody's going to get mad, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Exactly. No need to stress about it now.
No doubt. So you graduated from West Monroe, and what happened then?
So I graduated from West Monroe 2009, 2010, that school year. Preferred walk-on at UL. Throughout my 4 years of high school, I'm grinding to try to earn a scholarship come senior year. I did get some looks from other colleges, but no official offer. Decided to go down to Southern Louisiana, Cajun country, man, and I loved it. I fell in love with it as soon as I got there. Got the opportunity to play as a true freshman, man, and I turned it down because the coach said it was like the last 4 games of the year. He says you can either risk your red shirt and play, or just sit out the entire year and come back next year and have more years to go. Right. So I decided to just not even play. And hindsight, I wish I would have, but it's life, man.
Yeah. So what's that like? Like, I mean, had you visited UL multiple times, or was that?
Yeah, so myself, Tyler Kane, Terrence Gettrick, and Adrian Manning, we all had went down there, I think the previous summer, for a football camp, man, and we got a feel of what they were doing and just the environment. And obviously, I didn't want to stay close to home, man. Born and reared in Monroe, Louisiana, man. I just had to get away from there.
For sure.
So yeah, UL was the move, man.
I guess, was it just like a comfortability thing, or was it who you had on your list, or?
Yeah, so it wasn't too far, 3-4 hours away from home, and it was foreign, Raging Cajuns, they do things a little bit differently than we do in North Louisiana.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the thing, I guess, I don't know a lot of guys from West Monroe that went down there to play football.
Yeah.
It just seems you were kind of an outlier there.
Exactly, yeah. And while I was there, Coach Shiles and Mr. Remedies actually came through, and they were, I think, UL was doing some high school prepping, so I actually got to meet them while I was there. They came. Mr. Remedies brought Xavier Woods for Junior Day.
Okay.
And they watched me perform at a spring game. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah. So I had a little fan base in the audience.
That's awesome. I guess, and you played wide receiver.
Yeah, I played wide receiver for the most part there, and I played a little bit of running back.
Okay. So I guess sophomore year. Well, let's talk about freshman year. So freshman year, you're just practicing.
Yep,
practicing. You dress out for games.
Yep, dress out for games, but no play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just take your helmet off, chill on the sidelines. Or?
Exactly, man. Just hope for the best,
Yeah.
Our first year, man, we were horrible. We went 3-5, I believe. No, I don't know. We had a losing record. We actually lost on homecoming.
Oh.
Coming from West Monroe again, my high school record was 48-3. Like, I'm not used to losing or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a different culture. It's a different environment that, I had went to. But the next year, man, we got a new coach, a whole new coaching staff, and it was night and day.
So it was on from that point. You were hitting the field then?
I still wasn't hitting the field, man. I had to reprove myself because I had already proved myself to the former coaches.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when you lose the majority of your games, it's time to get booted, and that's what happened to him. And brought in another guy from Mississippi State. He had the big program mindset, and he was going to make UL that.
Yeah.
Along with that, man, I was battling injuries, the same injury that I battled in high school, which was a growing pain. And I tormented with that throughout my entire football career, man. I was never at 100%, man.
Yeah.
There were most days like you would see me on film just limping, just getting through it or whatever.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, I am a walk-on. I gotta earn everything that's given to me or whatever. I gotta earn the respect, especially with the new coaching staff or whatever, man. But it's something that I don't regret or anything like that, man. Everything happens for a reason.
Was that like an everyday challenge, or was that something you had to mount up every day? And
yeah, man. So I was at UL for freshman year, sophomore year. I wound up transferring the summer of my sophomore year after we had won the New Orleans Bowl for the first time in, I think, school history.
Okay.
Great run. The city is on fire.
Yeah.
School is.
Was that Arkansas State?
We played San Diego State.
We
won last-minute field goal.
Yeah, that's right.
Again, the community is behind the team.
Got back in the Superdome.
Exactly. So, yeah, I went to the Superdome up until that point 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
At that point, I had switched to running back or whatever.
Okay.
And that spring, I was at running back. I was doing very well. We had a long list of running backs. I think everybody who I was battling against were on scholarship or whatever. At the same time, I was still battling the growing pain. Even though I performed well, I still wasn't at my best consistently because I was still, going with that. But I decided to transfer to Grambling my sophomore year or whatever. So just for to get a better situation.
Was that like, you say better situation, was that more playing time or more potential playing time,
Yeah,
I guess?
more playing time. I wanted to play. I could have played my freshman year as a true freshman. Again, when a new coaching staff comes in, he has his picks and favorites. Obviously, you still got to work hard. Everyone still has to prove themselves. But being back at the bottom of the totem pole, it's a challenge. But I knew that I could be playing or whatever, and Grambling. A lot of my dad's side of the family went to Grambling, so it was near and dear to my heart, stomping ground. So why not?
For sure. And that leads me to my next question. Obviously, Grambling is a historically black college and has been around for a very, very long time, and there's a tremendous amount of history there. I guess, can you talk about the vibes, the environment compared to UL? And
Oh yeah, man. So Grambling is big on tradition, man. The legendary Eddie Robb, man, Doug Williams. There's a lot of greats. At one point, Grambling had put sent more players into the NFL than any other college.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Exactly. So there's
especially when you see like the field and stuff that they're working with.
Right,
like it's not like the top of the line of equipment and stuff.
Back in the day, Grambling had major contracts with Coca-Cola. Obviously, they're very renowned for their band.
Definitely.
Their band have been all over the world, performed for the White House, big parades, you name it or whatever. So when I get there, the first thing I notice is, man, it's culture, is tradition. It's very loud in terms of people expressing themselves. Because when you go to a HBCU, man, you're going there to get that experience of a black college experience,
For sure.
where there's a lot of sororities, fraternities. Everybody is doing their own thing, finding their way.
Yeah.
Grambling has a saying that we're the place where everybody is somebody, something like that. And again, you can find your way in there.
Yeah, yeah. You see a lot of white folks walking around there?
Not too many white folks, but there are some.
Yeah.
There are some.
Well, and I know they have a good nursing program or something.
Yeah. At one point, their nursing program was one of the top in the state. So again, a lot of people went to Grambling not only for the traditions and the culture, but also for nursing and other programs as well.
For sure. So I guess, can you talk about the team itself compared to UL? And
yeah, man. So when I transferred to Grambling, I think matter of fact, the prior year they had won the SWAC championship or whatever, so they were coming off a high as well. As far as the makeup, there really wasn't a big difference in makeup. I think it just me personally speaking and seeing being at different schools, I think the biggest difference with any conference that you go to is it's in the trenches. You got bigger, stronger players or whatever, and if you can control a line of scrimmage, you can definitely change a ball game.
Yeah.
And that's how I normally that's what you normally see when bigger schools play smaller schools.
Makes sense. That's why LSU always pushes Tech around.
Exactly. Yeah.
I guess, were you playing running back still, or?
I was playing both, hybrid between running back and slot. Yep. So when I transferred there, it was summertime, and when word found out that I was transferring, the head coach from UL got on the phone with me, and he was like, "Man, you got something great here, or whatever." I was like, I just feel like it'll be best if I went ahead and transferred. Then my strength and conditioning coach, he gave me a call as well. He reached out and was like, "Hey, definitely understand what you're going through," but we were just talking, and between the strength coaches, we thought that you could actually break the Guinness World Record for pull-ups if you trained for it, given that you have a nice amount of upper body strength for your size or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, thank you, but that's good to know.
It's a cool compliment, but I'm gonna keep moving.
Exactly,
How did the idea of transferring come about? Where did that pop up?
So, man, like I said, I had a great sophomore spring training camp. We had end of the year before we went out for, I think, spring break, or went back home throughout for the year, end of summer, something like that. I can't remember. Yeah, summer. We had evaluations with our head coach and with our position coach. The words from my head coach was, "Hey, you've had a great spring. We were stacked at running back right now. They had a guy that they had brought in the prior year, and he was this big running back, and he was their main go-to guy.
Yeah.
And you had a lot of other supplementary backs, whatever, which I fell into. You also had a couple backs that were injured, and they had yet to prove in themselves, but they were coming back for the following year.
Yeah.
And he says, man, you know what? I just want you to get in and just compete with them this off season.
He's telling you this as like you don't have a scholarship or nothing.
Right. I don't have a scholarship or anything like that.
That's kind of hard to. It's a hard pitch.
It's a hard pitch, but I had already been told, that my place there was secure, just due to my work ethic and everything that I had proven up until that point. With my time there. So he just wanted me to get in and compete with the other guys. It really didn't resonate with me well. But it was what it was. I had a meeting with my position coach. He pretty much told me the same thing. We're stacked at running back. It's really going to come down to what type of fall camp you have. The training before the actual season start. We'll be bringing everybody in and going from there. But keep in mind, I was still fucking aiding my growing, man. I went through spring just getting my growing wrapped every single day, man, just excruciating pain, But again, I don't have a scholarship. I don't have a secured spot,
Right. So
I gotta go through it or whatever, man. Another reason why I was part of the transfer was I needed to heal, man. During the summer, you get to go home, you get 2 or 3 weeks off or whatever, which you go home, you're still supposed to train.
Mm-hmm.
But during that time, I was gonna heal, man.
Right.
I had think probably about 2 weeks before spring training, I got a cortisone shot in my groin, man. A very unpleasant. But this
never had one there.
Exactly, man. This was during the off season, so time where you're supposed to be, building, getting stronger, faster, and quicker. But obviously, we're grinding 6 days out of the week, man.
Yeah.
And your body doesn't have time to rest, especially when it's already been beat up from the season.
Right.
I was already on a bad growing then or whatever. But the cortisone shot, it helped a little bit, but it didn't last long.
Yeah, it seems to be a temporary fix type of deal.
Yeah.
Well, that all makes sense, I guess. You were just looking out for yourself and what was best for you.
Yep.
And like you said earlier, I think everything happens for a reason. You got a bad taste in your mouth after talking to the coach, and that's enough to get you on. So
exactly, man. Eventually, if I wouldn't have touched the field that upcoming year, eventually I would have.
Right.
Just
out of frustration.
Exactly, frustration. Just putting in the work.
Yeah.
And damn, he's playing, I definitely should be playing at least special teams. But obviously, from the standpoint where I couldn't even, again, I was 85%, man, on a bad growing. So even if they wanted to put me on special teams, I wouldn't have been effective,
So, man, you talk about how much this growing was affecting you. What was the motivation to keep going, to keep playing?
Man, I love football, man. Growing up, that's all we did. I grew up in West Monroe. Was born in Monroe, lived there for a while, lived in West Monroe for a while. Tyler Kane. We lived in some apartments called Timbers. I actually lived on top of him.
I didn't realize you lived there.
Yeah. So I actually lived on top of Tyler. He lived diagonally below me. And every single day we used to play football. he and I, like one-on-one, or we would get other people involved or whatever. But for the most part, we're playing football every single day. Yeah. It was our life, man. That's all we really had and knew, you know?
That was your escape.
Yeah, that was our escape.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's why, from the standpoint of wanting to get a scholarship, man, it was not because I didn't think I could get it academically or whatever, because obviously my grades were decent or whatever, but football was my bread and butter, man.
Yeah. So you were able to get a scholarship at Grambling, I guess?
I wound up not getting a scholarship at Grambling, so I had a great situation where I knew one of the players there, and I reached out to him, and he put in a great word for me with the coach, and coach liked what he saw from me on film, and brought me in. It wasn't a sure thing that, keep in mind, this is the summertime, which during the summertime, you're working out for the most part, and they're getting ready for fall camp.
Right.
And the majority of that roster is already set, contingent upon how spring goes for those players.
Yeah.
So at that time, I didn't have a spot, so I really just went out on faith, you know. So the great thing, I got to work out with the team and everything, got to build bonds with the fellas, got to show, again, the coaches can't be around in the summer. They're off scouting, recruiting other players. So you're only there with the strength coaches and the other players, whatever. Man, I got out there, I bust my ass just like I normally do. Started getting respect from the players, the strength coaches. And so probably like a week or two, everybody's getting ready for camp. You know, camp starts, I don't know, it's different. Probably like the first week of September. I don't know, something like that. But probably about a month before school actually starts.
Yeah.
And it's still unsure if I have a place in camp, because in camp you can only take so many people into camp. Right. But probably like a week before, man, you know, I still didn't know. It came down to probably that very exact day that they were actually reported to camp. I got a call from the receivers coach to say, "Hey, come on, like we got a spot for you." And I had already had my bags packed because I just knew it, you know.
Gotcha.
Just working off faith.
Yeah, I was about to say, were you living in Grambling at that point?
Yeah, man. So I had moved in with one of my teammates or whatever, man. And it's a great situation. We had an apartment in Grambling, and one other teammate was going to join us, and one of our other good friends from Monroe, he was going to join us as well.
Yeah. So you finished your tenure there?
Yep.
How was the career at Grambling?
So, man, I love Grambling. I went to Grambling for a couple reasons, man. To focus solely on football and to become closer to spiritually God or whatever, you know, just get closer to God, go to church more. And I accomplished those two things, man, especially getting closer to God or whatever. That following year that I was at Grambling, like, battling the growing pain or whatever, man. Like, it wasn't no different really than at UL. If anything, it was kind of worse, man. Like, there was practices where we would run wind sprints, man, and I would be the freaking last one just because I'm limping or whatever. And again, because I don't have a scholarship, you know, I gotta freaking prove myself or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. It was just one of those things, man.
And like you say, it's easy for me to sit back and ask, like, why didn't you quit? But like you say, that was your life. That was ingrained into you at a young age to be the best and to keep fighting and never give up. And especially knowing where you come from in Timbers, like, you know, you're constantly trying to better yourself from there. Oh, yeah. So it makes a lot of sense, you know, where your drive comes from. But like you say, you go into Grambling and you got a positive attitude for one. Oh yeah. And always seem to be making the best of the situation.
Oh yeah. I know I'm about to just excel at Grambling.
Yeah.
You know, if I was doing well at UL on the pool growing, I'm about to get healthy. I'm about to go to Grambling, and it's about to be on.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you know, sometimes God has other plans for you or whatever, man. But my football career wind up wrapping up when that following year, I had a decent spring, but yet still at that point my groin had actually healed.
Okay.
It was healed. It was healed, man, for the most part. But I had pulled my hamstring like 2 weeks before spring ball.
Man,
Yeah, the first time I had ever pulled a hamstring in my entire football career.
that's crazy.
Pulled it, 2 weeks before spring ball, where I just knew because throughout this season I was battling the groin.
Yeah.
Then a hamstring comes up or whatever. And that following fall camp, they wind up not bringing me back or whatever. And I didn't take it to heart or whatever, because again, that's never been me to just wallow. It's just time to move on to something else, you know.
Yeah.
At that time, they had no, it wasn't that time that they had got new coaches, but that following year they had got new coaches or whatever, and that coach wound up turning the program around for the better. But at that time, man, I said, you know what? When they had reported the fall camp, I was still training or whatever, just staying in shape, just in case I got that call. I wanted to get that call I wanted to get the call, but I also didn't, because my hamstring at the time, it was probably about 95%, but I was just running through a trail right next door to our apartments, and I could still feel it. And I was probably like jogging 60-70%, and I just knew if I got back out there,
Right. It was going to go again.
it was.
Yeah.
So it was a blessing in disguise. Right there at that point, man. I decided to focus on my career, focus on my academics, and get ready for the next stage of my life.
So you stayed in Grambling and finished your education there?
Oh yeah, stayed in. I was I think I was a junior going into my senior year. Yep, junior going into my senior year. Start working at Hertz Rental Car as a transporter.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with Hertz, whatever, they need someone. Yep, in Ruston. Yeah, they need someone to vacuum, wash the cars, and everything like that or whatever. And signed up for that. While going to school, probably about 4 months into that, I actually found out that Hertz had an internship working inside the office as a manager trainee. They brought me into that program, man, and the rest is history. I became one of the top interns in the entire company. It was life changing for me, because that set the premise of how I got a job, how I got multiple job offers upon graduation.
Yeah. And I've heard that from other people working at Hertz. Like, it's a great starting point, and it's a great company to work for, and that kind of deal. So I guess looking back, I remembered you being there for a little while.
Yeah.
So you graduated in business of some sort, I guess?
Graduated business management with a minor in finance.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So when did you head over this way to Dallas?
So I got a job offer. So upon graduating, Hertz knew I was graduating, and they wanted to keep me. They wanted to keep me at the company and start my own branch in Minden. And I was like, you know what? This was only good for college, you know. I've always had a knack for finances. I've always loved managing money, despite coming from a situation where I didn't see the best money management, you know. So maybe that's why I gravitated towards money. But I've always had just an innate gravitational pull towards managing money. So I knew I wanted to be near money. I knew I wanted to help people with money, because I've always done well with keeping mine intact for the most part. And banking came up, you know. I ran across an opportunity where a bank here in Dallas were starting this first ever trainers program for bankers, man. And fortunately, because of my stellar performance at Hertz under their sales training and intern program, man, I was fortunate to be one of 8 college graduates selected into their program. 7 Texans, 1 Louisianan.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I just knew I wasn't going to stay. I didn't mind staying in Louisiana, but I knew, again, that's one of the reasons why I left Monroe to go off to college. I'd had to get away. I wanted to see different, man. Preferably when I left for college, or when I left after college, I wanted to get to a big metropolitan city, Dallas, Houston, or Atlanta.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. You probably had this as well a little bit in Grambling. Like, growing up in West Monroe,
it's like a whole other world in Ruston and
Yeah.
Grambling.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Totally different place.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is not Dallas
Yep.
or Houston
Yep.
or any large metropolitan area. So, I guess another thing that I think about, especially when I talk to like you and Tyler Kane and people like that, and really it's almost a sweeping thing in that if you experience hardship early on in life,
Yeah.
you can pretty much go one of two ways.
Yep. Yep.
You can either grind your way to the top or you can grind your way to the bottom.
Yep.
And I guess it's really cool to see guys like you and Tyler and Austin, making something of yourselves.
Yeah, thank you.
And not falling into the stereotype that you can coming from places like Timbers and
I think you said it perfectly, man. Like, you have that choice. That's what it ultimately comes down to. I don't care if you were brought up with a silver spoon or the worst spoon. Mm-hmm. You have a choice where you want your life to go. Yeah,
I don't know. It's been kind of weird because, like I told you earlier, I'll be the first to admit I've been given a lot in life, and I'm on a platform right now for success. Yeah, and it's up to me. But growing up that way. I am spoiled. Yeah. I was spoiled. I still am to this day, and that's something that I'm trying to. I am literally forcing myself into homelessness and struggle. To try to figure out myself honestly, and figure out what continues to drive me and makes me go. Yeah. And that's still a struggle. That's still something that I'm dealing with, and I get into funks just like everybody else.
Oh yeah. The great thing about hardship is it molds you. It grows you from within. Mm-hmm. You're gonna face it, given any circumstance. You might not face it financially, but you're gonna face it in other areas of your life. And if you go without it, you're gonna be a much weaker person had you not gone through it. Yeah. So everybody's gonna experience their fair share of hardships. You may start off on a mountaintop, but life is long, man. And
you're gonna hit the valley.
Exactly. It doesn't discriminate, man. Yeah. I don't care who you are or what you have, where you come from. It's gonna catch up with you.
Yeah. That's a great point. So you get the internship in banking and
So no, the internship was at Hertz.
Right.
The bank, becoming a banker was my first and only job out of college.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so you stayed with Hertz.
No,
once you graduated.
I left Hertz to go to come to Dallas. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. How long ago was that?
Man, that was about 4 years ago.
Yeah, seems like a lifetime, huh?
It does. Some days it feels like a lifetime. Some days it feels like yesterday, man.
Yeah. So how long were you in that?
Man, I was in that about a year and a half.
And what were you doing there?
I was a personal banker, man. I specialized in investments. Like I said, man, I've always wanted to work with money, finances, helping people manage theirs. Little did I know that, when you go into banking, it's more about pushing products and services or whatever. I knew that to a certain extent, but I thought it was going to be more hands-on with the with clients. But I enjoyed every aspect of it, man, because again, I was building relationships, right? And some relationships that I still have to this day. Yeah.
I imagine. I mean, you meet new people every day.
Oh yeah. People from all walks of life sharing their stories, man. Just inspirational stuff like that.
Yeah, no doubt. Were you working for a large bank or?
Yeah, so I was working for BBVA here. Okay. BBVA is the third largest. At the time, it was the third largest bank in Texas. The seven largest maybe in the world, something like that. Wow. Yeah, so they're the largest Spain-based bank. Yeah. Okay. So in Houston, they actually own the soccer league in Spain. Yeah, BBVA. Okay. BBVA Compass. Yeah.
Yeah, La Liga, I believe.
Yeah. Yep. So they own that.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, that they do have a lot of money then.
Yeah.
I guess what was the turning point? Why did you leave there, and where did you go from there?
Man, like I said, I enjoyed what I did because, again, I was meeting people, I was helping people, retirement, I was learning more about things that I could use in my own life, but I didn't have anything to call my own, you know. So one of my goals or dreams in life was to work for a Fortune 500 company. And I'm pretty sure BVA is on that list. And I accomplished that, but it was like, okay, you know, what's next in a sense or whatever. And I had a lot of business clients. They would come in again, opening up various accounts or starting various ventures, and we would talk, and they would tell me about the great things about entrepreneurship, the good, the bad, the ups, the downs, you know, all of that stuff. And around that same time, man, I was living at an apartment complex in North Dallas, and I would come home on my lunch break, or just get off work, and I would see a moving truck there every single day, for the most part, literally. And I just got to scratching my head, man. I had never seen a moving truck, an actual moving truck, a day in my life coming from Louisiana, specifically Monroe, because again, the demographics, the market, the geography is just totally different in the way people do things compared to Dallas. But here I was seeing them every day. I got to scratching my head. Somebody was either coming or going in my apartment complex. So I did some research, man, found out it's a very huge market, some huge marketplace, a very big revenue driven business. So you know what? One day I'm going to start my moving company.
Yeah.
So from there, I gradually started putting the pieces together, man. And one day, one of my good clients, we were in my office, and he says, you know, we were having small talk. He says, I got to move next week. And I says, you know, I got a moving company, right? At this time, I was probably about 95% completion. I had already incorporated the company and everything like that. Had my guys lined up.
Had a truck?
Didn't have a truck yet, but I could rent a truck. I had already researched that or whatever. Mm-hmm. And he says, no kidding. He says, send me over your information. And we booked them for that, I believe that following Friday. The next week, I put in my 2-week notice and never looked back, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So was that something that you took a financial risk on, or had you built up to be able to financially sustain that for a little while?
Both, man. So at that point, I had about $5,000 in my bank account, man. I utilized that along with taking out a loan. And the crazy thing about it, for all entrepreneurs out there or whatever, I knew my numbers, and that's very important when it comes to business. You have to know your numbers, because if you don't, you're pretty much just throwing darts in the dark or whatever.
Right.
But the loan that I took out, they hit me with a 33% interest rate, which is ridiculous.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Outside looking in, anyone's like, why would you even do that? Because I knew the potential. Yeah. I didn't care what they was going to charge me. I knew how much I could make from that. So yeah, along with that, I used some of my own money, and man, we got it going. I had actually put in my 2-week notice before we did the first move. So I just knew just the market, just having confirmation just from just within. It was time, man.
So was that something that you participated in yourself, or were you just kind of managing things at that point?
What do you mean?
The moving company. Were you getting out there and moving furniture?
Oh yeah, man. So the first couple moves, I had my guys. So when they actually moved my the very first move, when they moved my business client, I was actually at work. And I was hoping that it would go well, you know. Right. I had met them on my lunch break. I'm like, look, guys, it's a good client of mine. Don't mess it up. And
did you know these guys previously, or?
So I had actually done interviews probably 2 weeks prior, or whatever. Okay. I met these guys and scouted them out, things like that. Just to make sure that they knew what they were doing or whatever. And they did, man. They was like, they could tell I was kind of on the edge or whatever, but they were ready to go because they had been doing it for years.
Gotcha.
And they knocked them out perfectly.
That's awesome.
They wound up doing the following moves for me. Then when I put in my 2-week notice and left the bank for good, I jumped out there with them, man.
That's awesome. I mean, it shows that you were part of the team, and
Oh, yeah.
you wanted to grow just as much as anybody.
Oh yeah. Like I remember being on my first job, and one of my guys, he was telling me and showing me what to do, which I was okay with, because again, in order to lead, you have to follow. So I didn't have any problem following, man.
Definitely.
So it worked out.
Like you said, it's easy to learn from someone has the experience
Exactly.
and the
Yep.
all the practice in it. So it's a lot easier to stop and listen to those people than
Oh, yeah.
the person that's chirping you from behind. That
Definitely, man.
has no
Because
idea
again,
what they're talking about.
you're not going to go anywhere, especially when you don't have any experience in this field anyway.
Yeah.
So you're a dumbass if you don't. Your ego is getting the best of you. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's good to know that you were humbled
yeah.
in your beginnings. I guess.
Oh yeah.
So you've started some other businesses since then.
Yeah.
I guess, can you talk about the process of that a little bit?
Yeah, man. So probably about 3 years into the moving business. So my number one reason into getting into the moving industry was for the autonomy, man. I wanted to control over my time, and I wanted control over my future. And I saw the opportunity. I saw the financial opportunity there, but that wasn't my number one driving force, driving factor or whatever. It was the autonomy and the control of my career.
Yeah.
But
you just set it up and it'll
exactly
go.
because it was low hanging fruit in a sense. It was a barrier to entry is very low. Again, anyone can start a moving company or whatever.
Yeah.
So bam, it was quick. It wasn't necessarily easy, but compared to certain other industries that the permits and the regulations that you got to go through, unlike the moving industry.
Gotcha.
But yeah, man,
there's not a lot of
exactly.
that.
It's not a lot of that or whatever.
Well, and like you say, whenever you think about, hey, I can rent a truck, I don't have to buy one.
Right, yeah.
Like that changes things as well. Like
Yeah.
that, because that's where my mind went. Was
Yep.
like, you have a gigantic cost here. But
Exactly. But probably 2 weeks into it or whatever. So while I was at the bank, I was already looking for a truck or whatever. I was scouting a truck, man. And again, I was seeking out people who were already in the moving industry, to teach me about it. So at that same at a new apartment complex that I had moved to, I was maybe on my lunch break at the bank, and I pulled one of the guys to the side and was like, "Hey, man, I'm thinking about getting into this or whatever. I would love to have a sit-down conversation with you." He says, "Yeah, man, sure." So I wound up following up with him, and he gave me so much information. He actually wound up coming to work for me.
Wow.
Not too much longer after or whatever, man.
Wow.
So again, just learning from
and that
people.
was someone that had a moving business.
He didn't have a moving business. He just worked for one.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so
all right.
I was willing to pick anybody's brain that I
Yeah.
could, man,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
just
yeah.
shorten my learning curve or whatever. Because again, when you don't know what you don't know. Yeah.
For sure.
But yeah, so I wound up finding a truck shortly afterwards, and we were off and rolling, man. But probably about like I said, about 3 years into it or whatever, I never wanted to be the biggest moving company on the block. I just wanted to have my piece of the pie.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, like you say, you get that autonomy, and you get that you can go put your time in elsewhere.
Exactly.
And make money elsewhere.
I just wanted moving to be a stepping stone. Along with running any business, let alone a moving company, it's strenuous, man. It's a grind, manual labor, blue collar work.
Yeah.
And for the most part, I wasn't even after, but sometimes I was. But managing different personalities, managing just people in general. I learned a lot about that.
Do you have a very high turnover rate?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. You find great guys and you wine and dine them, man. You treat them like an employer is supposed to treat an employee, and you try to keep them on board or whatever. But because it's a physically exhausting exercise on your body, man, it takes its toll on people.
Definitely.
And like I said, I wasn't in the field every day or whatever, but when I had to get in there, I had no problem. But it started to take its toll on me mentally. But again, this was probably, like I said, the third year or going into the third year, like we were doing well. And again, I've always been sharp and keen with my finances, so I'm not gonna make a lot of money and go blow it or just go buy frivolous stuff. That's never me. I'm gonna make money to and invest that money to make more money.
Yeah.
And that's what I was doing or whatever. So
were you able to continue to grow all throughout those 3 years?
So the second year we took a slight decline, but I think it was just normal fluctuations or whatever. But again, I just knew it was going to be a stepping stone. I didn't want to be in it long term.
Yeah.
And I started looking for my exit plan. And that following year, which was last year, I started to look at my next venture. What was that going to be?
Have you expanded beyond one truck, or you have multiple
So
crews?
at that time, I was renting my second. So I only had one truck at the time, but I was renting my second truck. Yeah, I didn't want to take on that add more overhead with a second truck. So just backing up, I was probably this close from buying a second truck, and it didn't pass an inspection test. And the guy that the place that we had taken it to, he says, if I was you, I wouldn't buy this truck. I just put a new engine in one of these. Here's the invoice, slid it to me, $16,000. That was my sign right there. You know what? I'm gonna keep renting.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm glad that I did, because again, it was less overhead,
Definitely.
more money that I can keep, reinvest into the business, or just keep for my personal gain. But yeah, man, I was at that. When that burnt out started to settle in or whatever, started looking for my next venture or whatever, and at that point, it's like, you know what, man, I've built a nice business or whatever. Let me test the market. Let me see if it's something that can be sold, you know. And I put it on the market, man, and I got some interest for it, and I also got an offer, but the offer wasn't what I was willing to sell it for. So I said, you know what? I got another buddy who owns a larger moving company, and he's probably one of the larger ones in the DFW. And he says, man, at that time, I think I was already contracting, outsourcing some of my moves to him.
Yeah.
And he says, man, why don't you just change your business model? Like, just start sending us all your moves so you can check out.
Yeah.
He says, you know what? That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I switched my business model, and I started sending everything to him or whatever.
So you get a phone call, and then you make a phone call.
Exactly. Pretty much or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, man. So it wound up working out. And during that time period, I was looking, okay, what's going to be my next business adventure or just venture period? And I just started connecting the dots. You know, it's like, you know what? I thought about freight brokering because I'm good behind the scenes, logistics wise or whatever, connecting the dots and stuff like that. So I was like, you know what?
That's something I've always found satisfying, is the whole supply chain, and making things happen, clicking things together.
Yep. So I was going to rely on what I had already knew in the resources that I had. So my dad has been a truck driver for 20 plus years. So I was like, you know what? I can lean on him for some things, some valuable insights.
Right.
I'm good with coordinating stuff. I've already been doing some logistic work with moving or whatever, so it could be a great fit. You know, I looked into that business, but what I found was, you know, being a freight broker is equivalent to being an air traffic controller, and that's a very stressful job. I said, nope, I'm not going to do it. And
that's a quality of life decision right there.
Exactly. Yeah. Warren Buffett says, man, intelligence is picking your stress level. Yeah.
That's a great line.
Exactly, man. And I didn't want to pretty much go into something that I just really came out of, you know. So I just started connecting the dots even more, and just started just pondering some things. But what kept circling back for me was coaching, because like I said, I didn't get into moving for necessarily the money. I got into it for the autonomy. I've always been, I'm a fulfilling person, man. I like living fulfilled. Like, if something doesn't interest me, I'm not going to do it. I like living on my own watch, like doing stuff when I want to do it. Again, hence why autonomy was the reason why I pretty much started the company.
Yeah.
So if it's not satisfying for me, like, I'm just not going to do it. Because again, I just truly believe and understand that, man, we get one ride, we get one swing at this thing called life, and you better maximize it, you know. So with that being said, coaching is something that I've been was unofficially doing my entire life. I've always had friends and family, no matter the age, come to me like, hey, Deon, what do you think about this? Or I need help with this, or give me your advice on this. You know, I was fortunate to be blessed with, man, just a decent amount of wisdom, just innate wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my skills, you know. I wasn't always the fastest, the strongest, or the best athlete. And I understand it, and some people are, and that's okay. We're all gifted at different things. When you find what you are, those things, you can really use them to your advantage. And that's what I was going to do with coaching. I had already known it was a calling for me, you know, just a true passion, and I just wanted to delve into it more. Yeah. So that was the next venture.
So, I guess that's like life coaching, right?
Yep, life coaching.
So life coaching is somewhat of a trend right now. It seems to be growing more and more.
Yep.
And I guess the first thing that pops into my head, I was thinking about this on the way over here, is like, what do you say to the haters that say, you know, I'm not going to listen to some 28, 29-year-old kid who's got not nearly enough life experience?
Exactly.
You know? What do you say to that, to those people?
Here's the deal, man. You can learn from anybody if you want to.
Yeah.
You can learn from any single person if you can learn from your little brother. You can learn from a toddler. The thing comes down to dropping your ego, being humble, and saying, what can I take from this person? No matter who they are, what they are, where they come from, or whatever, man. You can learn from anybody. And I like to show, just not talk. Just not talk or whatever, man. I like to be a doer of my words or whatever. So just look at my resume, man. Like, I'm not just speaking just to speak like some life coaches are or whatever, but to each his own, you know. I'm actually backing mine up or whatever, and I take pride in it.
For sure. Well, and I think just in our conversation here, there's a couple things that stick out to me in regards to this. One is people coming to you.
Yeah.
You know, that builds your confidence, and, you know, all right, people value my opinion. They value what I have to think about, what I have to say, and that kind of deal. Two, like your physical appearance.
Yeah.
You're obviously, you work out.
Yeah.
You keep in shape. You know, you're not eating fried chicken every day.
Right. Yeah.
You know, your beard's all trimmed up, and the way that you speak, the manner in which you flow, and you know, enunciate your words and that kind of deal. It's I could very much see how an older person with more business experience or whatever has one conversation with you and is like, all right, this kid's got something, you know, there's something here. And that's before we even see you know, your work ethic, you know, in the gym or in the office or whatever.
Exactly.
You know? So, and that's all just me coming off the brain right there.
Yeah.
Like that's just all initial thoughts here. I guess what is life coaching? What involves life coaching? What do you seek in that?
So for life, man, life coaching is taking a person from where they are to where they want to be in their life. Really doesn't matter what the situation is. It's whatever problem that they're dealing with at that point of time or whatever. For me, I like, so we all have mental barriers, man, that keep us from living our best lives. You know, you see so many people flourishing on television or on Instagram, Facebook, and all of that. Some of them are fronting, some of them are actually living their best life. And when they are truly living their best life, they've done something that a lot of people don't do. They face their insecurities, they face their faults, they look deep within, they possibly have a coach, and they want to go to the next level in their life or whatever. They know that they might not have had the best childhood, or they may have, but there's certain things that happen to them that they're willing to address and get over so that they can, you know, flourish in life.
Yeah. I guess, what does that look like from you? Like, what are you a mentor, an encourager? Are you a financial backer? You know, like what? How?
Man, a coach is everything, man.
Yeah.
A coach is a supporter. A coach is a confidant, man. A coach is a motivator. A coach is a voice, a listening ear. You know, but proper coaching, you're not supposed to give advice. That's what you do in consulting. Consulting, you give advice. Coaching, you're more eliciting information out of that person so they can truly understand what they're going through, and you're putting it out so they can see it and they can make those decisions, because I don't know what's best for you. If I say, hey, Dan, I think you should be an astronaut, even if I know if I just truly believe in my heart that you can be an astronaut, you may not believe that.
Right.
But if I can somehow pull it out of you that maybe you should be an astronaut, or maybe you should be doing the podcast deal or whatever, when you realize it for yourself, you're more likely to be committed to that. And that's why life coaching works. Yeah.
So this is something that people seek you out for.
Yeah. Yep.
And they pay you.
Yep.
Was there something that, did you go to a program, or you have a mentor or something that?
Yeah, man. So I got certified about a year ago, I believe. About a year ago, can't even remember, to teach me the proper way to coach people. Because again, most people think just coaching is just having a conversation with someone and just giving your advice, and it's really not.
Well, like you said, that coaching consulting thing,
exactly.
that really
two
opened my
different
mind.
approaches,
Yeah.
and you can really mess someone up, or you can actually give them more help and give them better results when you're doing it the proper way.
So, have you had multiple clients?
Yeah, I have, man. The road started off pretty good, and it's kind of dipped down just like any other venture or whatever.
Ebbs and flows. Yeah.
Yep, ups and downs with it, man. But yeah. Coaching, I tell people, man, if I had to do anything for free, it would be coaching, because I'm truly passionate, committed. It's a calling. I can roll out of bed and do it because, again, it comes so natural to inspire, to motivate people to just see the best in themselves.
Yeah.
You know, it's so easy for me. So I'm going to do it for the rest of my entire life, whatever. I don't even look at, I was on another podcast and I was telling him, I don't even look at it as a business, because for me, it's really not. It's a calling. It's something that
it's your
I
passion.
I know I'm supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm. Well, like you say, what's this phrase? If you never work a day in your life if you enjoy it or whatever.
Exactly.
So,
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna switch it up a little bit here.
Okay.
What's your diet like?
What is my diet like, man? So, dude.
I mean, we see T. Kane out there going full vegetarian, and he's just as swole as you are. So
man,
I
I'm not. That's not me. I eat again. I eat what I want, when I want, how I want.
Yeah.
But I'm also gonna be disciplined enough to know I gotta get in the gym if I'm gonna live that way to get it off me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's pretty. But for the most part, man, I eat pretty healthy.
Yeah.
Eat pretty healthy.
You still doing pull-ups?
Push-ups, clapping push-ups, man. Yeah. So
I just know you said something about your coach was saying you could do a bunch of pull-ups.
Exactly. So I actually attempted the Guinness World Record for most clapping push-ups back on November the 14th.
Clapping push-ups.
Clapping push-ups, which the record is 90, held back in 2011, set back in 2011, and I came up one short unofficially with 89.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
That's epic.
Yeah, but so I'm still hunting after that.
I was about to say, is that something you're still pursuing?
Oh yeah, man. I wish I would have done it. Wish I would have broken it the first time, because I knew what was already ahead with me starting a new business venture, the mobile billboards.
Mm-hmm.
So I just like, man, I'm gonna be so locked in, loaded, and with the push-ups, man, you got to be disciplined, just like with any other thing, a great feat that you're trying to accomplish. It's a time commitment, your mindset. You don't just roll out of bed and think you're gonna do 100 clapping push-ups. You gotta be locked in. You gotta have it on your mind.
Yeah. You ever listen to like David Goggins, people like that?
Yeah, man. So I actually reached out to him like probably a couple of days prior to the event, man, and I just wanted to because at that point I had plateaued, and I couldn't get over that hump of, I was like at like 78 push-ups or whatever, and previously to my memory, I thought I had done like 89 or 90, something around that number, but for some reason I was at 78, 79, like the about a week leading up to. I'm like, man, what's going on? And I know his story or whatever, and I just wanted him to just shed some light on my situation, any type of inspiration or motivation or whatever.
For sure.
Yeah, but he didn't reach back out. But he has videos out there, and again, that's just, if you want something real bad, you'll find a way.
Yeah, he's definitely been a motivator for me to pursue exercise again and distance running and that kind of stuff, which it's a slow process to get out there and run 50, 100 miles or whatever. And that's definitely a goal of mine, but it's, I am, like I said, I'm still figuring out myself and figuring out my diet and how to, be consistent with that kind of stuff. And really, I am learning to harden the fuck up. And, go run, whether it's raining or cold or hot or whatever. I'm a hot guy. If it's 112, I'll still go run 2 miles. Like, that's no big deal to me. I love to sweat. I love that feels like progress.
Did you cross country run in high school?
Not in high school. I did it in middle school for a little while, but I just played soccer in high school.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. That's enough running as it is, man. Like, yeah.
That's pretty much wind sprints all day.
Man.
It's weird now because I have an older brother. He's 7 years older than me, and he's run a couple Ironman races. And so I've sought out, marathon training exercises from him. And I had started a marathon plan just before Thanksgiving. And I had to run 6 miles, and I was supposed to run it in 70 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, I ran it in like 57, and I was like pumped on it, jacked on it, and like literally the next day is Thanksgiving. And so I go and I tell my brother and I tell him, and he's like, no, dude, you messed up. He was like, today your rest day? I was like, yeah, today's my rest day. He's like, you're not going to be able to finish your workout tomorrow. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, you're not going to be able to finish your workout tomorrow because you ran at a race pace today. Like, you ran at a race pace yesterday. You didn't run at a training pace.
Wow.
He's like, they told you to run it in 70 minutes because they want you to, like, spend time on your feet and build up your feet, and, like, your leg muscles will come in that. But he was like, you just sprinted it out, basically. I was like, I mean, all right, I see what you're saying.
Right.
And sure enough, I was only able to do, like, half the workout the next day.
Wow.
Just because my legs were just toast.
Dude.
And a part of that was shoe choice as well. I'd been running on some thinner shoes and I've since I was running in the neighborhood that I'm living in Arlington, and I came across another guy who was running, and he was ending his run, I was ending my run, and he ended up living 2 houses down from us. But he was like, yeah, I just finished an Ironman a month ago, and he's like, I haven't done a damn thing since then. And he was like, today's my first run back. And so we were talking, and I was like, do you switch shoes in your runs? Like, he was like, oh yeah. He was like, shorter runs, I'll go with a thinner, lighter shoe to where I can be a little bit faster. And it's not, and then the longer runs, I'll do a more cushioned shoe. And I was like, all right, like, my theories are proving itself right. And so I've run every day this week except for today. And I've run on the big cushion shoes, and I was having some tendonitis in my left knee. I've been battling it for a long time, and it's slowly going away. So I battled this knee for a very long time, and I just completely quit running for a while. I found that I could go snowboarding. And I could manage that. And however I was positioning my body or whatever, it wasn't hurting too bad. And I could still have a good time on the mountain and have fun and cut up. And I guess that was last January, I guess, because we went for New Year's Eve. And then I took a couple months off and just didn't do anything. And I got an opportunity. Well, I thought I was going to have an opportunity to go elk hunting in Colorado with one of my fraternity brothers. And in South Colorado. And we were going to be hiking up and down to 10,000 feet and having 40 pounds on our backs. And I was like, all right, I'm training to go to war. That's what I'm about to do. So for 3 months, I trained pretty hard. I didn't have a plan or anything, but I was was getting it in 3 or 4 times a week, and that's a new deal for me. And my motto at that point in life was, I'm going to run because it feels good running.
Yeah.
And that was the first time that had happened in a long time. I'm sure you experienced that as well.
Oh, yeah.
At some point.
Oh, yeah, man.
You know, finally when you're all healed and you go, and it just, there's nothing like it to me.
Oh, yeah.
Running a long distance or pushing
feel
yourself.
Free, man.
And, yeah. You know, I can see obviously not a very strong guy over here, but, or not in the weight room at least. I've never been able to get off on the weight room kind of deal, you know.
Yeah.
I can really get off, really zone out, really go into a whole other world, trip out, if you will, you know, while in a long distance run. And you know, a lot of people run with music, and sometimes I do. Like, if I'm going to just have a fun run, like last night I ran like just under 2 miles, and I listened to music the whole time and I was fucking dancing in the middle of the street, you know, just
in
like having
zone.
a good time. Yeah.
In your zone.
Yeah. But then on those longer stuff, whenever I'll do it without music. And, you know, I think that adds another element of hardening the mind. And, you know, because you're sitting there talking to yourself the whole time and battling. And like, so I was living in West Monroe. One day I ran those 6 miles, and I did it, like I said, I did it in like 57 minutes or something. And, about halfway through, I ran by the Ike Hamilton Center. And right there is Restoration Park. And I had to run over the bridge, and I get up to Restoration Park, and I was like, I'm a little over a mile and a half in, and I was like, I got to pee. And I was like, you know what? No, you don't.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Exactly.
And so I ran all the way past the Ike, and I'm coming back, and I'm like, all right, you still got to pee, but you only got a mile and a half left at this point. So just hammer it out. And again, you know, it's a mental fortitude deal. You're starting to callous the mind and build that up. And
what you tell your mind, the body will follow, man. Simple, man. Like,
How did you battle your growing issue? How did you resolve your growing issue, I guess?
Time, man. Just being off it.
Yeah.
Like,
were you getting treatment at those?
Yeah,
I was ice or massages?
Ice, stem, you know, Kirk Franum's old
classic.
Classic.
Stem and ice,
you know,
every
single day. But when you're back on it 2 or 3 times, like, you know, you're working out in the mornings. You have depending if it's in season or off season, you got workouts later that day or whatever, and you're back at it the next morning.
Yeah.
So,
man, talk about Kirk Franum. Every time that gets brought up, there's one story that always sticks out in my mind. I was in the training room for some reason, and it was like spring ball or something. I don't even think it was in the season, but little bitty black guy. He was a running back. I forget what his name was. Itty bitty tiny kid.
Was he there when I was there?
Maybe so. Anyway, he was a running back. He dislocated his shoulder in practice. He comes in the training room, and it's like just me and Kirk in there because all the trainers are out on the field or whatever. And Kirk's like, Dan, take that ice pack over here. Come over here and grab him. And I was like, what? I had to like bear hug this kid.
Yeah.
Kirk's over there ripping on his arm and trying to get his shoulder back into place and couldn't do it. It was like, you know, I've never been traumatized early on in life, but that was a traumatic experience just because it was like, it was very violent and in your face. And it was just like, I'm not like a medical guy, you know, I really mess with blood and bones.
I signed a contract here.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. It was pretty wild, but that's always a story that I remember. Yeah, that stem and ice.
Yeah, that's the go-to.
So you have now started a new business?
Yeah, so I'm in the process of starting a new business, man.
Again, autonomy.
Yeah, autonomy,
what we're talking
man.
about.
Because you know, I don't really consider coaching as a business per se. It's something that brings me joy and fulfillment, just helping others excel and get out of the holes that they're in. But the new business is Premier Mobile Billboards, man. We're a digital mobile billboard company. If you've ever been to Vegas or New York, they're there. But from what most people have seen are the mobile billboards, you know, just static, just like a traditional billboard where it doesn't change. but this is digital.
Right.
We're able to change it from my phone to laptop without being in the truck.
So what we're talking about is a box truck that has 2 screens on each
Three
side.
screens, yep.
3 screens,
Yep.
one on the back too. Okay. Man, that's perfect.
Yeah. So I was back in West Monroe for.
Hold on.
All right.
Yeah, you're good. That's what it is.
Yep.
All right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No problem, man. So, but Premier Mobile Billboards, man, that's the new company. It's a digital mobile billboard company. You've seen traditional billboards that you see on the highway, but this is digital and it's mobile. I was back in West Monroe for Christmas, West Monroe area for Christmas, spending time with family and friends, and I noticed that, because I hadn't been back in a while, well, about a year, and I noticed digital billboards now, whatever. Growing up, you would always see just static vinyl billboards.
Right.
But now you got digital, because that's where things are headed, not only just in billboards, but just the world itself, is becoming more digitalized. Yeah,
I remember the first one that I saw was right there on Thomas Road by Chick-fil-A and whatnot.
Exactly, yep.
And I remember seeing that, and I was a marketing major in college. I kind of think that way sometimes. And I was like, man, that's a brilliant idea.
Exactly.
You can sell multiple ad spaces using the same spot.
Exactly, yeah.
It's
you
great.
save production costs. A lot of overhead is saved.
Yeah.
So
obviously this is not a new idea, the
Correct.
Mobile
Yep.
billboards.
It's not a new idea.
And is there a company that builds these trucks?
Yeah.
Or outfits the trucks, maybe?
That is correct. So a company out in Arizona is building mine now, and let's see here. I believe the completion date is set to be next Wednesday. I'll be flying out and seeing it for the first time.
Yeah.
So
you're gonna drive it back?
Yeah. I'm
Nice.
gonna, test it out for myself.
For sure.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah.
How do you go about getting ad space filled, I guess?
Man, just like any other billboard, we can look around here and find the nearest billboard, and if they're advertising on a traditional billboard that's stationary, I'm pretty sure I can inform them on the added benefits that a mobile digital billboard has, because again, it's with mobile, it's eye-catching, it's targeted. It has a high recall rate. So because they call it Lamborghini marketing or advertising, because when you see a Lamborghini or something exotic, you remember it.
Yeah.
Because again, number one, you don't see it too often.
Right.
And that's the exact same approach with
and it usually
billboards.
catches your eye, even out of the corner out of your eye or whatever.
Yep. And that's why they're very effective, because it has a 97% percent recall rate. 80% a person can actually identify the ad that was being displayed at the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
And obviously, like you say, there's just like a world of opportunity with it too. You can promote a club, you can sell Coca-Cola on it, you can do whatever.
Yeah, that's just the basics of it, man. So it's a huge smart TV. We have videos. We can play commercials. We can do movie night. We can do live streaming. So when Super Bowl approaches, if you want to tailgate at your house or at the venue, we can be there just broadcasting the game or any other event that you like. We can do gaming tournaments. We can do karaoke, have a surround sound system, DJ, stuff like that.
Yeah. Is that something that you plan to promote, like all those services as well?
Oh, yeah, certainly, yeah. So it's we have an advertising side, we have an entertainment side. Yeah.
I guess whenever I hear that, I think about, like, how do you plan on educating your customer base that you have that ability to do all those things?
Yeah. So in what method and what are you asking, what lane?
Yeah. Like how do you, like, I guess two questions. Like, Are you physically walking into a business saying, "Hey, I got this"? Are you emailing? Are you working your connections that you
All
already
the
have?
above, man.
Yeah.
All the above. When you're starting a business, man, you have to utilize every resource that you have. I attend a lot of networking groups and a part of networking groups. So spreading the news within that, having them go out and work for you. Cold calling companies that you see that's already doing billboard advertisement, walking into businesses. Again, utilizing social media marketing, the whole nine, man.
Yeah, just forcing yourself out there as much as you can.
You got to. If otherwise, man, you're shooting yourself in the foot. And this is what I stand by, man. Waking up every day, putting my best foot forward, just trying to give it all I got, because at the end of the day, success or fail, I want to have no regrets about it, because I know I gave it my all. That's why I have no regrets on football, man, because I know I gave it my all. And that's peace and satisfaction in that, man.
Yeah.
I sleep well at night. I sleep well every night, knowing that when I give my best, there's no reason to have regret.
Going back to football, you were talking about how your exit was, and my mind always goes back to Tyler and how his situation folded out, and two different situations maybe, but kind of the same outcome in that y'all hit a roadblock and realized that all right, this is it, and we're gonna get better from here.
Oh yeah,
So.
Oh yeah. You can like, as you mentioned earlier, you can allow it to help you, or you can allow it to hurt you, man. Unfortunately, a lot of people allow it to just cripple them, man. Again, life is too short. You only get one ride, man. You better get your shit together, internalize it, face it, and move the fuck on. Because otherwise, life is gonna continue to compound shit on top of that.
Yeah.
And it just makes it harder.
Yeah. And like I said, I get stuck in the peaks and valleys of life, and sometimes you get stagnant. And that kind of happened to me this week. Earlier this week, I was being a little stagnant and not taking care of what I needed to do. And then, like yesterday, it never got overwhelming. But it just my workload was more than it needed to be when I could have acclimated some of that into earlier in the week. Do you have a team? You have a team behind you, or you?
So right now, man, it's going to be myself. I'm going to be hiring my first driver next week. From there, I'll build a sales team and move from there, man.
Yeah, cool. So that was my question. Is like, where you have other people out there hustling for you,
yeah,
or you
man.
doing it all yourself?
Yeah, you're going to obviously starting a small business. When you're not when it's self-funded, and again, you could go the startup route and have people, invest money, which is great as well, but you lose ownership of the company. In some cases, you lose some ownership in the company when you do it that way. In some cases, you lose all ownership, Yeah. Because again, you have so many people with their hands in the pot, and they control a lot of things or whatever. But just going to just gradually grow, like I've always have, utilizing the connections, the resources that I have, and to get me to where I ultimately want to be.
Cool. What does your day-to-day look like? I mean, I know you said you've kind of afforded yourself to be able to make your own schedule, but what does that look like? So, man,
last year, man, it was lovely. Like, honestly, I felt like I didn't work a single day of 2019, even though that was a year of lessons and blessings. Ups and downs, challenges.
I like that, lessons and blessings.
Yeah, man, I was truly on my own schedule, because I had switched the business model, and all the moves that we were getting, they're being outsourced, so we don't have to worry about that. But right now, man, it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, man. Get up, work out, be in the gym about 5:45, 6 o'clock, out by 7:30. After that point, man, I'm focused on whatever I have to get focused for the day, whether that's a networking event or a meeting or just a lunch, whatever it is. For the most part, I already have, not 100% time that I have my day always planned out. For the most part, I kind of got a list of things I need to get done, and I'm working that list.
Nice.
I'm working the list. Sometimes, man, I go to sleep at, so on nights we work out because my fiance and I work out. She works out with me. I'm in the bed. I try to be in the bed about 12:30 sleep.
Yeah.
But that's only like 4 hours of sleep or something like that, man. Or some nights, man, it's 3 or 4. It really just depends. Like right now, it's grind time, whatever, man. So I'm doing 3 or 4, whatever it takes. But it varies.
I love it, man. The more we talk, the more like happy I am for you, and you know you're going about things the right way. It seems like, and you know, I asked you as soon as you started talking about the moving company, I'm like, were you involved or were you sitting back? You know, and the fact that you get in there and like you said, you know, learning from the people who've been doing it for so long, and you know, that's the only way to learn an industry is to get people that have done it. And I really respect the way that you're going about things, and I guess, you know, Gary Vaynerchuk.
Oh yeah, I love Gary V, man.
Do you have that mindset in like save, don't ever go out, don't spend on yourself?
No, definitely not, man. You can't. So life isn't all about accumulation, because we don't know when it's going to end. So you always have to factor that in there. Yeah. But you don't want to be this person who freaking just blows or whatever, and, you know, and you wind up bankrupt the next day, you know, because you've just been living on the edge or whatever. But you know, for the most part, and when you're a business owner, so you live differently, man. No one is signing your check. You're signing your own check, man. You go out and you eat what you kill, and the months you're gonna have good months. You're gonna have bad months. Best believe it's business. Yeah, it's ups and downs. So until you've hit a point in your life or business where like it's automatic, where you've built like a Walmart or Amazon, and you really don't have to worry about it, like then you can go out and just spend. But a lot of small business owners, man, as soon as they start making money, they take from the business instead of reinvesting it back into the business, man. Like, so when shit hits the fan, and like with us, we had one of our big moving lead providers, like cancel us or whatever, and that really hurt sales. But I wasn't tripping in a sense because I had been saving, investing. So when sales do decline, you're not panicking, you know? Yeah, yeah. It's all about knowing your numbers, man, and living accordingly.
I think that's awesome. I know it don't mean shit for me, but I'm proud to know you, proud to know what you're doing and where you're going. You got, I guess, plug yourself, plug your businesses, and
man.
We'll
so I'm on social media, Facebook, Deon Fowler, coach and consult with Deon, Premier Mobile Billboards. My website, DeonFowler.com or PremierMobileBillboards.com.
What's the future look like? Just keep growing, keep pushing?
Keep going, keep pushing, man.
Chase that push-up record?
Oh, yeah. I got to get that because it's something that I know I can do, and I should have. So, yeah, eventually I'm going to get that. But, man, it's never going to change with me. It's always going to be one day at a time, one foot in front of the other, man. And whatever the end result is, if I've been doing that, I'm happy, man. I'm at peace.
So, I mean, do you have long-term goals?
Yeah. So but no. So my dad, like as I mentioned, he's been driving trucks for 20 years now. My plan is to buy him a Corvette in about 3 years once he retires. So that's part of my why. My fiance is pregnant right now. We're expecting in May a baby girl.
Congratulations, dude.
Thank you, man.
That's awesome.
So that's part of my why.
Yeah.
So
again, that's definitely a motivator.
Exactly, man. So I'm looking forward to all of that, man. I'm looking forward to just continuing to just self-develop, learn more about myself, who I am, help others, man, and just take it as it comes.
I love it. Can't argue with that.
Yeah.
So, Well, Deon, thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate you dropping some wisdom on us and
you for
sharing
having
your
me.
story. Like I said, proud to know you, proud to be your friend, and hopefully I can catch up with you somewhere down the line.
Oh, yeah.
All right, man.
We
Thank
will.
you, brother.
Yes, sir.